माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा नाथ राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गुरु हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय लोक प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा माया ददाति स्वपदान्तिकाम् हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधिकान्ता नमस्ते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna to everyone. Welcome to today's session. And the topic is Krishna, the source of God, and Krishna, the source of God. So there's two types of source here, S-O-U-R-C-E and S-A-U-C-E. So we'll first go with S-O-U-R-C-E and see how Krishna is the source of God. So some of you may be listening to this for the very first time, that Krishna is the source of God. So you may have some doubts or questions like, who is God then if you say Krishna is the source of God? So let's try to explain this. And then you may ask, who is Krishna? So God, as most people know him, is Narayan or Vishnu, who is coming from Krishna. So we'll just explain this a little. Krishna's first expansion is Lord Balaram. And then from Balaram's come the Chaturvyuha, or the quadruple expansion. Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, and Sankarshan. And from that comes another quadruple expansion of the same name. So from the second expansion, second Chaturvyuha expansion, from the Sankarshan of the second Chaturvyuha expansion comes Lord Vishnu. And there's three Vishnus, Gabur Dakshai Vishnu, Karana Dakshai Vishnu, and Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. So these three have their specific purposes and a specific duty as well. So we see that from the navel of Mahavishnu comes a lotus stem, and on top of that lotus stem is a lotus flower. And on top of that lotus flower is Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is born, who is the creator of this material world. So as the creator of the material world, he is doing his function of creating. Like this, so Krishna is right on the top. And we see this is how this material world comes about by the creation of Brahma. And then you may ask, who is Lord Krishna then? So Krishna is a cowherd boy enjoying in Golok Vrindavan, right, as we all know. And we find that because Krishna comes to this world as an avatar of Vishnu, people are confused. But Srimad Bhagavatam spells this out very clearly. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28, clearly says, Ete chamsa kala pumsham, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam, Mirdiyanti Yuge Yuge. The translation goes as follows. All the above incarnations, either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheist, and the Lord protects the theist. When Swayam Bhagavan Krishna appears, he descends and he acts like an ordinary person. So people are deluded by his ordinary behavior. People like Duryodhan and company, who are atheists basically, and who are, don't believe in God. They go against the principles of religion. So they do not accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. Similarly, to bewilder the atheists, Krishna displays some extraordinary pastimes and make it seem that he is not God. like when he appeared in Vrindavan as a son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai. Even great demigods were bewildered just by seeing the pastimes of Krishna when he appeared in this material world. So Indra, he says, what are these residents of Vrindavan listening to a talkative boy? How dare he stops my sacrifice? I will teach him a lesson. So it so happened that in the cowherd residents of Vrindavan, they normally perform yagya to Indra to, for rains to shower so that the crops can grow nicely. The cows have water to drink like this. But Krishna stopped this yagya and he says, why are you worshipping Indra? You should worship Govardhan Hill. And Indra became so angry that he sent torrents of rain, incessant rain, to devastate the whole of Vrindavan. But Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill on his little finger of his left hand, and he saved the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So we see like this, Indra came to his senses, and then he surrendered unto the Lord. Also, we find that Brahma also became bewildered, when he saw Krishna standing there with, with the cows and the cowherd boys, and holding some rice and yogurt in his left hand. And he was bewildered. He says, this is not God. How would God, eat from other people's plate, because the definition of God is, in awe and reverence. People worship God in awe and reverence. But, he's acting like an ordinary child. So how can he be God? So eventually, Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys, and he hid them in a cave. And then Krishna, he expanded into all those cows and cowherd boys. And when Brahma came back to see what Krishna is doing, he saw all the cows and the cowherd boys with Krishna. He went back to the cave and he saw the cows and the cowherd boys are in the cave. So in this way, he was totally bewildered, and he realized that he made a mistake, that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme means the topmost personality. Krishna is a person of Godhead, of the spiritual realm, basically. So in this way, Brahma came to his senses, and he offered many prayers also to Krishna because he was bewildered, right? And some of his prayers are listed in the Brahma Samhita. The first verse of the Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadhir Adhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That, oh Govinda, you are Ishvara Parama Krishna. Parama means supreme. Ishvara, controller. You are the supreme controller. Sachidananda Vigraha. Your body is transcendental. It's eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And we see, our bodies are basically temporary, full of ignorance, and it's miserable. So, and it's made up of all these obnoxious things, right? Made of blood, bones, stool, urine, marrow, all of these things. And it gives off an unpleasant odor as well. So, comparing it to Krishna's, which is full of knowledge and full of bliss and is eternal. So we as devotees are striving to go to the spiritual world, and, in our bodies will also be like Krishna's, okay? Sachidananda. So we live eternally with Krishna in the spiritual world. Now we go on to the next topic, which is Krishna is the source of God, S-A-U-C-E. So you may wonder, source, like, how is this going to be presented? But anyway, we see that if we analyze the function of the source, the source, what is a source? It is there to enhance the flavor of a dish, right? Foods become enhanced, enjoyable, and tasty with the presence of a sauce. Like take, for example, a burger, right? A burger won't taste good if the sauce is not there. So be it a chili sauce, a mustard sauce, peri peri perhaps, tomato, or whatever sauce you would like, right? You prefer. In our Govinda's restaurant, we also sell burgers, and it comes with the sauce and various other things. So it all depends on your taste. You will choose a certain sauce, right? Otherwise, the burger will be tasteless and dry. So similarly, Krishna's pastimes in this material world are also enjoyable. Sometimes tasting like chili or very peri, right? When killing demons, sometimes it's mild like mustard and tomato. So it all depends, right? The pastimes of Krishna are so nectarian and relishable that we never get tired of hearing of them. They are very flavorful, and it delights the hearts of all the residents of Vrindavan and all those who are striving to become devotees as well. Right? We never tire of hearing of Krishna's pastimes. When Krishna steals butter and is caught by Mother Yashoda, he tries to deny it by blaming the monkeys or his reflection. And, although his face is messed up with butter, and he says, "No, mother, I haven't taken butter." And, but the evidence is smeared all over his face, right? So Krishna's pastimes are so sweet. So do we find pastimes like this in Ram Leela? Or maybe Nishingre, Varaha, Kurma? No. Why? Because Krishna has 4 extra qualities that are not found in other incarnations. And that is Lila Madhurya, super excellent pastimes, Venu Madhurya, playing his flute, Prema Madhurya, loving devotees, he's surrounded by loving devotees, and Rupa Madhurya, his beauty is unsurpassed. So let's go through these qualities step by step, and we'll explain, right? So his pastimes are so sweet, right? And it's not found in any of his avatars because the avatars come for a specific function and they leave. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasachayata duskritam dharma samstaparnataya sambhavami yuge yuge. That to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants and to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So these are the avatars that are coming down from time to time to re-establish the principles of religion, right? So, but Krishna, when he comes in his self-same form as Swayam Bhagavan. So Leela Madhurya, as I've been explaining Krishna's mischievous activities in Vrindavan, and he has so many childhood pastimes that immediately captivates the hearts of the living entities. That, that's what it's meant to do, right? Captivate the hearts, because by thinking of Krishna, our hearts become cleansed, right? Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Mahabhava Davni Nirapanam, Shreya Kareva Chandrika, Vitaranam Vidyavada Jivanam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, Pratipadam Purna Amrita Ashvaranam, Sarva Atmasnapanam Param Vijayate, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So the Sankirtan movement of chanting about Krishna's glories, hearing about Krishna, these are the ways to actually rid the heart of all the dust that's been accumulated for years, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The heart is like a mirror that has been covered by dust. And by hearing of the glories of the pastimes of Krishna, then this mirror is slowly cleansed. And then we'll be able to see our reflection, our face very, very clearly. So this is the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us, chanting and hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna comes to this material world to enact his pastimes so that, to give pleasure to his devotees, and which are so enjoyable and tasty. Like in the Brahma Samhita, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that the residents of the spiritual world are enjoyable and tasty. He's using these words because they give pleasure to Krishna, right? Then we go on to the next quality of Krishna, Prema Madhurya. He is surrounded by his loving devotees. Prema means love. So, and he has this 5 types of different loving exchanges that he has with the residents of Vrindavan. As a friend, lover, parent, passive, and neutral state. So love is reciprocal. It's between 2 or more persons. Love is between 2 persons in this material world. Love is there, some type of love, right? Prabhupada said that the love of the resident of Vrindavan comes close to the love that a parent have for the child. So this is how we can understand what love is. It comes close to the love in the spiritual world, which is unconditional, actually. The love in this world or this material world is but a reflection of the spiritual realm. Now, if you have a tree on the bank of the river which are full of fruit, right? And the reflection is in the river. So you want to get the fruit. And if you go and touch the reflection, would you get the fruit? No. So the fruit is on the tree, but you go to the reflection. So you won't get any substance, right? So similarly, this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual realm. Everything is here. Variety, variegatedness is found in the spiritual realm. And it's here as well. So there's different types of trees and plants and human beings, animals like that. So also in the spiritual realm, it's there as well. Okay, but here it's in a perverted reflection. If you want Krishna to become a friend, he'll become your friend. How cool is that? Ye yatamam prapajante tam stateva bhajamyaham. That Krishna, as one sends unto me, I will award him accordingly. Like the cowherd boys who consider Krishna as their friend. They play with him, and when he loses in a game, he has to carry the boys on his back. Now God, carrying someone on their back, right, and running around. So this is unheard of, right? So you go to any tradition who worships God, okay? And you explain, you tell them that, does your God do this? Run around playing, carrying his friends on his back. It's unheard of, because the Lord or God is worshipped with awe and reverence. So it's only in the pastimes of Krishna that we find that these loving exchanges are so unconditional that these the residents of Vrindavan forget that Krishna is God, that Yoga Maya has this potency of putting them, into a state where they do not know that Krishna is God, because their love supersedes this, right? or a parent, if you want to become a parent of God, you can become the parent of God and accept Krishna as a child. Like Mother Yashoda is chastising Krishna for stealing butter, or the gopis, who also chastise Krishna for coming late to the rasa dance, and they sulk. So do we find this in Vaikuntha? No, Lakshmi Devi is there serving Narayan as lotus feet with awe and reverence. We do not find this in Vaikuntha. Everyone is in the mood of awe and reverence. So Krishna allows us in Gokul because the inhabitants love him unconditionally, and it supersedes the love of Vaikuntha and even this material realm. So once Lakshmi Devi came to the earthly Vrindavan, and she heard the gopis speaking about the pastimes of Krishna, and she became attracted. Although she's very chaste to Lord Narayan, she wanted to meet Krishna, but Purnamasi told her that she has to give up her dress and she has to, act like a gopi, carry cow dung patties, make cow dung patties, and all of that. And, she says, like, what? Me? The goddess of fortune? I'm going to do this, carry cow dung patties, make cow dung patties, and, give up my dress? I can't do that. So it's basically, it takes a very simple and humble heart to actually win Krishna over. So this pastime actually shows that. And if you worship with awe and reverence and opulence, then you basically you cannot purchase Krishna. So this is Lakshmi Devi's story. So she refused to do that, and she did not get entrance into the pastimes of Krishna. And she's still there performing austerities in Bailvan, in Vrindavan, just to get a glimpse into his pastimes, right? Then we go on to Venu Madhurya. Krishna plays a flute. This is in relation to Vrindavan only, because he does not play his flute in Mathura or Dwaraka like that. Only in Vrindavan does he play his flute. His flute attracts all living entities, even in the three worlds, basically. And we find that, the Maha Mantra has descended to this world, right? And it's basically similar to Krishna's flute, in that the sound vibration brings us closer to Krishna, just as when Krishna plays his flute, everybody comes running towards him, right? The cows come running, the gopis come running towards him. When he plays a certain melody, he calls a certain type of devotee. So like this, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has the same potency to attract Krishna. We see that when Krishna plays his flute in Vrindavan, that the non-moving living entities, they start to move, and the moving living entities, they become stunned, like the deer, the cow, the gopis, even the Yamuna that's flowing, she stops flowing just by hearing the sound vibration of Krishna's flute. And everybody becomes enchanted. It is said that this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis' feelings of separation. When Krishna plays the flute, the black deer becomes enchanted. They stand still, forgetting their homes and husbands. The animals become charmed. The aquatic birds, like cranes and swans, ducks, instead of flying or swimming, they become stunned. When it's time to go home after grazing the cows at Terkadamba, this pastime was related by His Holiness Indradumna Swami. And he says when he wants to call the cows to go back home, he sits on top of the tree, excuse me, and he plays his flute, and each cow comes by hearing the sound vibration of Krishna's flute. They hear their names and they come running towards him. So that's how he's able to round up the cows and go back home, back to Vrindavan. So the next quality we go to is Rupa Madhurya. His beauty is unsurpassed. Bhakti, in the Brahma Samhita, there's a verse, Venam Fanvantam Arabrinda Dalayaksham Barhavatam Shamasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesha Sobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Venam Fanvantam. Krishna is adept on playing on his flute. Aravinda, his eyes are like lotus petals. Barha Vatamsham, his hair is bedecked with peacock feathers. Sundarangam, his beauty is unsurpassed. He's too beautiful. Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesha Sobham, that he is charming millions and millions of cupids. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9:24-65, there's a nice verse. Yashanam makara kundala charukarna brijat pola subhagam savilasham hasam nityo swamna trapodrishibi pipanyo naryo narascha mudita kubitanimischa. The gopis used to relish, this is a translation, the gopis used to relish the beauty of Krishna as a ceremony of perpetual enjoyment. They enjoyed the beautiful face of Krishna, the beautiful ears with earrings, his broad forehead, his smile, and while enjoying this sight of Krishna, they used to criticize the creator, Brahma, for causing the vision of Krishna to be momentarily impeded by the blinking of their eyelids. So that's the translation of that verse. When Krishna walked on the bank of the Yamuna, he was seen nicely decorated with tilak on his face. He was garlanded with different kinds of forest flowers. His body was smeared with the pulp of sandalwood and tulsi leaves. The bumblebees became mad after the fragrance and sweetness of the atmosphere and began to hum. So this is taken from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the feelings of separation, the gopis' feelings of separation. So the next quality we go on to is Leela Madhurya. His pastimes are unsurpassed. His childhood pastimes of parental affection, his sakya or pastimes of a friend as a lover have, as we've been describing previously, so much so that when he left Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan were willing to give up their lives for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of the 35th chapter of Canto 10 that everyone has a tendency to love someone. Krishna should be the object of love. Let me just read that again. Krishna should be the object of love is the central point of Krishna consciousness. By constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and remembering the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, one can be fully immersed in Krishna consciousness, thus make his life sublime and fruitful. So dear devotees, we'll stop here with this quote from Srila Prabhupada. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for speaking. If you have any comments or questions, you can raise them now. And we'll have a short kirtan and we'll end. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class. Mataji, I got a question. You said Brahma is the creator of the material world. So who is the creator of the spiritual world?
Obviously, Krishna.
Mhm.
The spiritual world is eternal, and there's no there's no evidence of it coming into being at any time. It's always there. It's eternal. So we cannot understand what eternality is because we basically do not have that experience, or we had that experience and we have forgotten. But we only know, we can only think in terms related to creation, right? And destruction, like that, because we have no experience of eternality, although we are eternal beings, right? But we have forgotten that part of it. Therefore, we always think in relative terms, okay? So Krishna is basically the primary creator, and all the ingredients are there, right? In the Mahatattva, all the Brahma has to do is just manipulate these ingredients in order to create, basically. So the living entities are there, and everything is there. So all Brahma has to do is manipulate these ingredients and create this material world. So Krishna is a primary creator, and Brahma is a secondary creator.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very well. My question is, in Vrindavan, Krishna is recognized as Krishna by his flute, okay? And then in the other loks, how is he recognized? Like if he's in Vaikuntha, how would he be recognized?
Okay, basically in Vaikuntha, the residents have 4 arms, just like Vishnu, Mahavishnu. They have 4 arms, and he's recognized by the Shrivasta on his chest and the Kastuba jewel that he wears. So that's how you'll recognize the Lord. Yeah.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that.
There's the pastime in the Brihad Bhagavatamritam that when Gopkumar went to Vaikuntha, then everyone he saw, they were in the form of Mahavishnu because they all had 4 arms. So he started paying his respects to everyone and addressing them as the Supreme Lord. But then they educated him and they told him that that we are not the Supreme Lord, but Lord Vishnu is, and then they told him how he could recognize the Lord, basically.
Sure. Thank you so much for that.
Mataji, sir, I got one more question. One more question. Oh, sorry, Mataji.
Finish with that answering.
Okay.
So also in the Vaikuntha regions, there are different planets of the incarnations of Krishna, like Rama, Nishingadev, like this. So whichever devotee, Yayatamam prapajyante tam stateva bhajamyaham, however you may worship Krishna in whichever of his avatars. So there is a spiritual realm in the Vaikuntha regions of that special avatar, and you could go and worship him there, like that. So
wow. Jai. Thank you so much for that. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Paramatma Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji, I wanted to know about Durga Devi. They say Durga Devi is like the prison warden of the material world. So is there any link between Durga Devi and Brahma? After Brahma creates the world, does he have anything to do with the world after that?
Well, basically she takes charge, and well, he is there, he is the creator of the material world, and he is also engaged in worshiping the Supreme Lord and seeing to other affairs of this material world. I'm not quite sure of the specifics of that, but yes, he is the head of our Sampradaya, And, he basically has a spiritual connotation, let's say, to that.
Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji.
Yeah, so Durga Devi, or Mahamaya, basically, conducts the affairs of this material world. So,
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else, Denton?
Not for now. Thank you. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, well, you want to end with some kirtan, maybe?
Sure.
Yes, please, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Radha Nata Radha Nata Radha, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Go Nitya Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhubhyavacham, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone.